Hello and welcome to Portstewart Strand. This is a little video for those of you especially who missed the field trip up to Portstewart, but also maybe act as a bit of a recap for those of you who did. That'll help you when you're revising. Now, this is where we started our data collection here, along the front of the dunes. Now normally at this point the dunes would follow that slope down, similar kind of angle, and gently slope down to maybe around this location here. But because of the storms that have taken place at the start of the summer, or start of the winter, should say, the front of the dunes here have been eroded away, and you can see the root system exposed. And because of that, the embryo dunes, I suppose, really have been just completely knocked off or eroded away. So we're going really into the fore dunes. Now, as a slight aside, in case you're thinking that's the front of the dunes gone, you can actually see already during the kind of springtime into towards early summer, the sand's beginning to build up again. This has been blown in from the beach. You got your constructive waves taking sand from the offshore bar down onto the beach and then blown by the wind up here. And this will blow and gather against this location. It'll build up and it will be colonised again, forming new embryo dunes. But because the embryo dunes had gone, we had to start our data collection up in the dune system here. Let me climb up in. Let's see. Oh, it's a bit steeper at this point. Here we go, successfully up and into the fore dunes. Now, one of the first things you'll notice here is the percentage vegetation cover is relatively low. You can see the colonising plants here, the marram grass, which is beginning to build together and to stabilise the dunes. You saw the root system in the front of the dunes that had been eroded off. Those roots are going in underneath there, holding the sand dunes together, building up the height of the dunes, taking them up away from the influence of the sea, and beginning that process of improving the soil quality. So basically, as we move back, there's two things that are going to be happening. You're going to see change in the vegetation. That's going to be obvious and apparent, and the measurements you took showed the reason for that, which is the improvement in the quality of the soil. So the change in the vegetation, the improvement in the quality of the soil. At this point, it's just all sand with the roots in below there, but really nothing much by way of organic matter. It's pretty much all sand. So let's go back up through the dunes. You'll see immediately as we move up here that you're getting an increase in the percentage vegetation cover. Here's a path. Maybe your anomaly coincided with one of those paths. But just up here, immediately we get a much higher degree of percentage vegetation cover. You're up to not quite 100%, but close to it. Let's zoom in here because it gives a pretty good example of some of the other plants. You've still got plenty of marram grass here, but you're beginning to get other plants beginning to grow. Now, these are what you call the rosette plants, the dandelions. I'm called rosettes because they grow more kind of flat and laterally. And as they start to spread out laterally, what happens is that they cover the soil underneath. Now that starts to change the microclimate a little bit. It reduces evaporation by the sun. It's a lovely sunny day today, and that sun would normally be evaporating moisture out. Any moisture that is retained, of course there'll not be a lot at the moment because it's still very sandy, a lot of infiltration, but the moisture starts to be retained. That starts to improve the soil quality, and you're beginning already, say, to see that increase in the variety of plant types. And you can see that this starts to support some organic life as well, some animals, quite a number of cells about here. Let's go further on back. And over here we see another plant. No idea what this plant is, but clearly it's a different kind of leaf than a dandelion. Here's the dandelion leaf over here. An increase in the variety of plants. Here you start to get some moss. And this moss, again, increases the percentage vegetation cover and really starts to aid the moisture retention. This soil is harder to pull out, and as if I pull that out, I hope you can begin to see how that is even changing colour, becoming slightly darker colour as that soil improves. And I can feel the moisture in that. Obviously you can't, you just have to trust me that there is moisture in that. It isn't rain because it's a sunny day, but you can feel the moisture developing there. Let's go back through more of those plants, right away up through it. And basically what you're now getting is just this change, increasing percentage vegetation cover. I'm going to have to try and find a way up through a path, try and beat my way up through this. You you see pretty much similar all the way through here. Take you back up to this location here. Now, if you have a look, see that's so compacted together, can't even dig that up easily. But you can see how that at that point 100% vegetation cover in and we start to take a wee look here. See the roots there and the additional organic matter that's being added, all the rosette plants that are growing in and around about here. So this is where we've come from so far. We're maybe 30 metres into the dunes, and this is where we're going. So let's take a further walk through. Look here, the amount of moss and a whole bunch of rosette plants in this location, and again around about here. Have a look at that, percentage vegetation. And a final wee stop here, and then let's go for a bit more of a hike into the dunes. Lots more dandelions here, another flowering plant. Let's keep going, even the paths here, 100% vegetation cover. Here we go, through these dunes. Now, at this point, let me turn around. Hopefully the wind will down and maybe hear me a little bit better. You can't really see now, because we've crossed now the first of the dune ridges. Wind speed is reduced at this point, and you get a significant change in the vegetation. Here we have some more common grass, not your marram grass, and changes again in the plant types. A much wider variety of plant types growing, covering very, very densely here. Now, again, you have to take my word for it, but the difference in temperature from the top of that to where my hand is now is quite noticeable. Again, might have mentioned, sunny day. As a result of that, this is picking up the heat, and this is acting as a kind of a blanket, improving that heat retention here. And as I'm digging way down, there's this thick mat of vegetation. I'm not even getting close to the soil. There it is, beginning to appear now. And look at the difference. Look at how brown that is now compared to the sand. That's maybe just about 40 metres away from where I am at the moment. There's some ants in there. There's an ant on me, get rid of that quickly. So you can see, oh my goodness, there's a whole bunch of ants down there. Better move on quickly. Can you see them? Crawling all over the place. Gross. So, much better environment. We're supporting a wide variety of animals and plants. And as you move further on back, basically that same process just continues to occur. See, especially down in these little slacks here. I spin around. There's still plenty of marram grass, of course, but in many ways, in some locations, including here, it's not even the dominant species anymore. Back we go, and you're just getting denser and denser vegetation. So a very springy underfoot. Back down the passages. Up over the top of this ridge here, and we'll take it back. And that's where we'll come from. A bit of a dune slack, another little bit of a dune ridge, and we come down here. Let's run over this direction a bit. Buckthorn, the enemy. Planted by the golf course to stabilise the dunes, or in their links course, a very invasive plant. It's down this wee slope here. Across here. And I'm hoping that I might come across and expose the side of the dune so you see what the vegetation is like, or the soil. Here's a wee bit here. Let's have a look. A little path coming up here, and this path gives us a little bit of a cross section Now hopefully you can see there the dense root network, maybe around about that thick of that dense vegetation mat, which includes regular grass. There's a few wee bits of moss in there as well, and a variety of other plants. And basically the soil quality there has improved considerably, particularly in terms of the moisture retention. There's more ants. Goodness, they're all over the place. Particularly in terms of the moisture retention. And basically what has happened, now that we're in this dune slack here, in between the dune ridges, is that the microclimate has changed. Wind speed has died down considerably here. The temperature is warmer. Microclimate's better. The plants that grew in the here in this location previously improved the conditions of the soil, creating conditions more favourable for the next plants to come along, which have invaded, established themselves, and have just kept that process of gradual soil improvement going on and on and on to produce plant succession in Portstewart Strand.